The NBA has fined James Harden the maximum amount at $100,000 in regards to his comments against Daryl Morey, calling him a liar. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Miami Heat and their attempts to put a trade package together to acquire Dame Lillard without including Tyler Herro. We're going to add into that. Also talking about the Dallas Mavericks making a signing and waiving a player. We're going to get into all of that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything NBA and basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. And first up, the NBA has now fined James Harden $100,000 in regards to his comments against Daryl Morey. Now, this is the maximum allowed fine amount by the NBA. Now, this is not, I want to be clear here, this is not meaning that this is the most that the NBA has ever fined, but this is the most that they can fine in the current era. Now, he's been fined hugely. This was because of the comments. And, you know, we talked about on yesterday's episode how certain NBA owners and the NBA are eventually going to do more in regards to fighting against players kind of requesting trades, to kind of doing whatever they want to. You know, we had comments earlier from a former player calling, you know, the inmates running the asylum, and the NBA is going to do something to kind of rein that back in as much as possible so that they can kind of get more order here, right? You have players that are requesting trades right after inking their deal, before the ink is even dry on the deal and that extension kicks in, they're requesting trades. And so NBA ownership is looking at that and trying to fight against that. Now, I want to be clear. This fine to James Harden is not a fine because of his trade request. This is a fine because of his comments in China calling Daryl Morey a liar. But still, the NBA is looking at everything, and they're watching everything, and they're trying to do everything within their power to get the game back in order, to help teams keep their players. And that is the biggest thing that James Harden did here with his comments. He negatively impacted the Philadelphia 76ers' ability to get the most in a package for him, because now teams smell blood in the water. They see that you can't fix the situation here, even though it seems like the 76ers owner and Daryl Morey are hoping to reconcile here. All the writing's on the wall that James Harden wants out. And, you know, I don't think he's going to end up holding out because, as we know, the Philadelphia 76ers can, if he does sit out of training camp, they can push his contract and he'll be in the same scenario next year. And so it's going to behoove everyone to get a deal done and do it the right way. And that's what the NBA is trying to, you know, save here, is getting the deals done in the right way that are fair to the teams, fair to the players. But do not be surprised if there's something written, like I said, in the next CBA to protect this. But we'll talk about that later. The situation with James Harden is a crazy one. And as I said before, even without James Harden making his trade request known and having these comments, it was going to be difficult for the Philadelphia 76ers to move him, because teams now see that James Harden is a prima donna, right? They do not want to send out a bunch of assets for a player that, who knows, he could not re-sign with you. Even if he does, he could ask for a trade in another year and a half. You know, all these things surround James Harden, and a lot of teams just do not want to deal with the uncertainty and the nonsense of James Harden. And when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers side of it, they need to keep a team. While Joel Embiid, and it came out today, has not officially requested any trade or anything like that, and I don't necessarily expect that to happen, but the Philadelphia 76ers need to do enough to keep Joel Embiid there. They need to do that. They need to keep a team good enough around Joel Embiid to where they're close enough to contending so that he stays in Philly. And even then, the writing may be on the wall for that eventually sooner rather than later as well. But the Philadelphia 76ers, they looking at their assets and at their situation and realizing we have to protect ourselves here. And the NBA stepped in and in a little way helped them with that. They still need to find the best trade. The NBA isn't going to help them with that portion of it. And if they do want to try to reconcile with James Harden, that's something, I won't lie, that I just don't see happening. You see a lot of teams, a lot of players be able to kind of fix things with the right deal or the right balance, the right coach. I just don't know if that's coming for Philadelphia and James Harden. But, you know, it's a fine. It's major news. Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Do you think that he was fined too much? Not enough? Do you think that this is enough to shut him up and to stop his shenanigans until a deal is able to get done? Let me know all that down below and let me know your thoughts. Let's go ahead and move into the next topic. So the Miami Heat are reportedly trying to get a deal done for Dame Lillard without including Tyler Herro. And as we've heard before, the Portland Trail Blazers did not want Tyler Herro. And the Miami Heat were forced to kind of find a third team with that. And the reason why is because just using Kyrie Irving and Tyler Herro's contracts, that gets you close to matching the $46.5 million of Dame Lillard's contract. Right now, the Miami Heat still have assets left, right? When you look at Tyler Herro and Kyle Lowry's contracts, that get you to $56.5 million. So that's more than enough to cover it and still be able to get Dame Lillard in Miami. But when you look at the other things that they have, they can include Duncan Robinson and Kyle Lowry to get to $47.8 million, which is enough. Cody Martin's making $6.8 million. They could throw him in as a sweetener as well. But the bigger question is that even going to be enough, right? The Miami Heat have a tall test ahead of them to try to get a deal done enough. And when you have a team that just does not at all want Tyler Herro involved in that, it's going to make it a little bit more interesting. I still think this deal ends up getting done. We'll see. Maybe Portland does eventually pivot, or a team says, hey, I know Dame doesn't want to be here, but we think we can put a team good enough around. If he wants to compete, we can make it sweet enough to where he has to stay here to get that title. And so maybe that's what we see. It's interesting enough, this whole scenario kind of circling Dame Lillard and James Harden, kind of just deals waiting to get done and how they can change the landscape of the NBA, which was the topic of my video yesterday. But even with all that said, the Miami Heat have a tall test ahead of them. And Pat Riley, we know that Pat Riley is one of the best GMs in the game of basketball. And if anybody's going to figure out how to find and strike that balance without including a player like Tyler Herro, it is what it is. And I would even go so far as to say this. If the Miami Heat do find a way to acquire Dame Lillard and keep Tyler Herro with his three-point shooting, we've seen the Miami Heat go to a finals run with and without Tyler Herro. But if you're able to keep a three-point shooter of the caliber of Tyler Herro around and he's able to stay healthy, listen, that makes it even more dangerous with the core of Bam, Jimmy, and Dame. So, again, Tyler Herro is not a perfect player. I don't even look at Tyler Herro as a star-level player, but he is a player that, if in the right scenarios and with enough stretching of the floor, and especially with a player with the gravity of Dame Lillard and how Dame can shoot and get to the rim, and with that Jimmy Butler and Bam, listen, Tyler Herro, it could end up being a blessing for them if they do end up holding on to Tyler Herro and then still finding a way to acquire Dame Lillard. So we'll see if they're able to do all that. It's going to be an interesting kind of scenario to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that the Miami Heat are going to be able to get this deal done and acquire Dame Lillard, or do you think that another team may slide in there with an offer to Portland, who it seems like Portland is content on waiting and getting the best deal for their team when it comes to trading their franchise player in Dame Lillard? Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Last bit of news is the Dallas Mavericks. They have now waived JaVale McGee to sign Markieff Morris to the team. Markieff Morris, who came to the team with Kyrie Irving last season, only played 8 games for the team. Didn't have a huge impact at all. The numbers weren't anything outstanding. But when you look at JaVale McGee, he was probably going to be the 4th center on the depth chart. When you look at Dwight Powell, Rashawn Holmes, Derek Lively being there, and especially the young Derek Lively, who's a defensive monster potentially, finds a way to stay out of foul trouble at the NBA level and become a contributor in his rookie season, it makes sense. Then when you look at the 4 position, they got Grant Williams, Maxi Kleber down there, and the newly acquired Derrick Jones Jr. You add Markieff Morris to that, who can play the 3 and 4 as well, can stretch the floor maybe a little bit for them. The Dallas Mavericks are a team that are going to try to make the push for the playoffs. Are they going to make it? That's the biggest question. I don't know how successful they're going to be in that. But, I think that this is a team that could potentially, with the right scenarios, if Luka and Kyrie kind of figure it out, sacrifice for each other, they can be a team that surprises in the West. Not any longer picking the Mavericks or Luka to be a favorite in the West by any stretch of the imagination. But that's a team that has potential. If those 2 players can work it out, that can definitely be a dangerous team in the Western Conference. And so, them signing Markieff Morris isn't anything necessarily huge, but a player that understands his role, a player that can play pretty solidly, right? Not great, but solid as a veteran piece if he's fully healthy. I like the deal overall for them. I like what the Dallas Mavericks have done a lot this offseason. Jaden Hardy, they getting him. They already had him there. Seth Curry, Josh Green, they brought in. Add to that, bringing in Rashawn Holmes and Derek Lively Jr. Like, they have made some moves. And how is Dante Exum as well going to play into them as a guard off the bench for them? So a lot of things kind of surrounding the Dallas Mavericks. But this is a move that I, for one, thinks makes sense for them. Let me know what you guys think on everything down below. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything basketball related. Thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every video, I'll see you guys next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.